In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your body into a fat burning machine. I'm going to give away all my secrets. I'm not going to hold anything back. These are the exact same tips that I give to all my students, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. So you know it works. Before we get started, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video every week. It really helps support my channel. All right, let's get into it. Okay, first, let me give you a little bit of context so you understand what you're dealing with. Otherwise, I'm just another jabroni spewing out the, it's all about the calories nonsense. Because you are the owner of a body that is a byproduct of 2.5 million years of evolution. And we're still genetically identical to our Paleolithic ancestors. And they were able to survive and thrive through the harshest conditions this planet had to offer. Feast and famine was a real thing back then. Now, the human body is actually a hybrid engine. It can either run on fat or carbs for energy. Our original factory setting as human beings is actually as a metabolically efficient fat burner to efficiently access our body fat and burn it for energy. It's a survival mechanism. Back in the Paleolithic times, if you think about it, it's not uncommon for our hunter-gatherer ancestors to miss a meal or even go a full day/days without eating. And they had to maintain focus, energy, and muscle in order to find food, which they did. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to survive as a species. But through evolution, the human body evolved this incredible system to be able to tap into stored energy in the form of body fat and turn it into another type of fuel through the liver called ketones. Most people don't even know about this alternate fuel source. If you ask any random person on the street about ketones, they'll probably look at you as if you're speaking another language. The problem is, this delicate fat-burning mechanism has kind of become a forgotten thing. We used to be metabolically flexible where we can seamlessly run on either fat or carbs, but now we're not. We've mostly become a carb-dependent society. We eat tons of refined carbs and sugar, and we eat way too frequently, which puts a lot of people in this blood sugar roller coaster ride. So they get a huge spike in blood sugar, which prompts a corresponding spike in insulin to take all that excess sugar out of the bloodstream and store it for later use, which then causes blood sugar to drop. The body thinks it's about to go into a state of hypoglycemia. You get hungry again, so you eat more carbs, and then the cycle starts again. People get stuck in this vicious cycle for decades, and it's been one of the major catalysts for the obesity epidemic we're dealing with today. When you become carb dependent, you basically lose the ability to burn fat. You lose the ability to make ketones efficiently. That delicate fat-burning mechanism starts to atrophy, and it basically becomes this forgotten thing. It's the classic use it or lose it scenario. So you just become carb dependent, which is the definition of metabolic inflexibility. So the key is to reverse it and become metabolically flexible again, where your body can get energy not just from carbs, but also from dietary fat, your excess body fat, the carbs from your food, or stored glycogen. There's no discernible difference, which means you never run out of energy. You don't have these wild energy and mood swings, which is such a common thing that happens when people are carb dependent and they get hangry when they don't eat. They get hypoglycemia. When you're fat adapted and you're metabolically flexible, which are interchangeable terms, by the way, your body always knows where to get energy when there's no food available. Whether it's one meal or one full day without food, it's not a big deal. All hunger and cravings go away. It's a beautiful thing. So the million-dollar question is, how do you become fat adapted again? How do you become metabolically flexible? First, you have to severely limit your carb intake, especially when you're just starting out. And then you have to be getting most of your calories from fat to trigger this metabolic switch. It actually takes fat to burn fat. Imagine that. Think about it this way. When you're carb dependent, you don't make ketones. Again, it kind of just becomes a forgotten thing. Your body thinks that there's plenty of energy coming in the form of glucose from eating carbs. It'll just use that, so you're always just stuck with that one fuel source. Insulin always stays high, which locks your fat stores. I have said this many times in my other videos, but insulin is the switch to fat storing or fat burning. This is why a lot of experts consider it to be the master hormone, because it's the hormone that controls our body weight. And over time, all the excess calories that you eat just get stored as body fat because insulin always just stays high. You're always just stuck in fat storing mode. You then develop something called hyperinsulinemia, which is the precursor to metabolic syndrome. Again, the way to become fat adapted again is to limit your carb intake to build this metabolic machinery. Now, there's usually two ways that people take to get started. You can ease your way into it, or you can violently force your body into this new way of eating. You go from 0 to 100. You deprive your body of all carbs and just force it to become ketonic, which can be extremely hard on your body. Don't do that because your body is literally gonna freak out. And you're most likely gonna go through some carb withdrawal symptoms. If you eat the standard American diet, for example, or you follow that infamous food pyramid, which basically puts you on a high carb, low fat diet, you're easily getting a mind-bending 300 to 500 grams of highly processed, insulinogenic, meaning fat-promoting carbs daily. If you just go cold turkey on carbs, that's almost offensive to your current way of eating. It's too drastic of a change to your brain that's been expecting glucose every 3 to 4 hours basically your entire life. And now all of a sudden saying that you're not gonna get a steady supply of glucose moving forward. This is often when you get headaches, foggy brain, fatigue, irritability, nausea, difficulty sleeping, and constipation because you haven't built up the metabolic machinery to deal with this new way of eating. Because again, you're not a light switch, you're more like a radio knob. There are levels to this. You build your metabolic machinery by slowly teaching your body to become good at burning fat first. Don't ditch all carbs right away. Not all carbs are bad. They really only become problematic when they disrupt homeostasis. Just start by getting rid of the most offensive ones like cookies, crackers, chips, candy, granola bars, bread, pasta, cereal, liquid calories, designer coffees, and the likes. I know. Then you want to replace them with healthier alternatives like seasonal fruit, nuts, cheese, dark chocolate, and Greek yogurt. And then you want to eat a wide variety of vegetables. Feel free to eat as much non-starchy vegetables as you want. They're basically free calories, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But that dietary switch sends a signal to your brain that there's not going to be always a steady supply of glucose coming with every meal. And with that, the body starts to adapt. It starts to trigger mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning the building of new mitochondria, which are these tiny little powerhouses in the cell, and it starts to become good at burning fat again. Fat gets released from storage because insulin, again the storing hormone, stays moderated. Remember, it's a switch, which allows stored energy, aka body fat, to be utilized and get burned for energy. Because again, you're not eating insulinogenic foods anymore in the form of processed carbs and sugar. This is why I always say that what you stop eating has far more impact to your health than what you start eating. What you'll also find is because you're eating nutrient-dense foods, you actually feel satiated from your meals, which might be a completely foreign feeling for a lot of people, which then eliminates one of the worst eating habits we've developed, snacking. When you ditch the most offensive carbs and replace them with a wide variety of vegetables, you'll usually land in the 100 gram range. When you get to a point when you're reasonably fat adapted, usually around 3 weeks, and you'll know because you always feel good and you don't have these crazy energy and mood swings, probably for the first time in a long time. Now it just becomes a question of, can you find another 50 grams of carbs that you can gracefully cut out? Now, some people can get away with eating more carbs, especially if they're active, but generally speaking, 50 grams of carbs in total or less is almost guaranteed to put the average person in the state of nutritional ketosis. That is when you're fully fat adapted. Maybe you eat less starchy tubers and eat more cauliflower or asparagus. Maybe you just limit your fruit intake to avocados and some seasonal berries. If you completely cut out snacks and just eat 2 to 3 meals, you'll usually land in that 50 gram ballpark. And then it becomes this nice and comfortable transition, and you gracefully become fat adapted. The key, I'd say, is to find vegetables you enjoy eating. Trust me, I know the struggle. I didn't eat vegetables for the longest time. If you don't find them enjoyable, I'd argue that you just don't know how to prepare them properly. Roasted vegetables are a delight. So if you have access to an oven or a barbecue grill, use it. Cruciferous vegetables are usually your best options like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, broccolini, as well as mushrooms and squash. Just pick a few you enjoy eating. Also, make sure to cook your vegetables to make the nutrients more bioavailable. Now, you don't really need to count the carb content of non-starchy vegetables. They're almost negligible because they also contain fiber. That's why they're free. For example, half an avocado has 8.5 grams of carbs, but also contains 6.7 grams of fiber. So you get a net carb count of 1.8 grams, which is basically nothing. Now, Just as important is you also want to make sure you're making supportive lifestyle choices like getting adequate quality sleep, increasing general everyday movement like walking, and do a couple of strength training sessions to build and maintain muscle. Because having a lot of lean muscle mass is the key driver of your metabolism. It's the largest site for glucose disposal. That's how you can get away with eating more carbs. It's basically your metabolic currency. But that's basically how you become fat adapted. This is how you become a fat burning machine. That's why I don't like diet labels, because people just become so dogmatic about it. And if you do intermittent fasting, it basically turbocharges all the benefits of being fat adapted. By the way, you don't have to limit yourself to 50 grams of carbs or less for the rest of your life. I don't even do that. And that's the beauty of becoming fat adapted. Because once you've built up this metabolic machinery, now you have options. For example, you can have a day where you just eat one meal. And I've done all types of fasting you can think of, so make sure to check out all my videos about it. But you feel fine if you go a full day without eating. I went 7 days without eating one time and I felt fine. Or you can also skip breakfast and do just fine. You can have a day where you go for sushi and dessert and you don't feel bad about it. I mean, that's what I do once a week. Again, you feel fine. I mean, feeling good is really all that matters. Try to name something that's more important than how you feel. I'll wait. That's the point of being fat adapted. The next question then becomes, how are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because here's the thing, 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. You can't just freestyle this part. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I was finally able to get rid of all my unwanted body fat without depriving myself of my favorite foods or spending countless hours at the gym. It's a simple 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals, and it's the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my students, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. Hey, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week, and feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Virtual high five.